It was a hot one in Hangtown. Holy moly, but the AMA blew it. And not because they shortened it, but how they did it. They cost Eli Tomac big time. And Jett was good, but he was also a little bit lucky. And I'll tell you what, a lot of those guys are sore today after that effort they put in. They need to use Nano-Xtreme. This stuff is so good at the little aches and pains, and this is the best pain solution that I've ever used. So head over to Nano-Xtreme, use code Cooksey, and get free shipping. And seeing those guys absolutely exhausted from the heat yesterday, well, it reminds me, Coach Rob has a drink that really is formulated to help your body recover. He's got multiple different combinations to suit you perfectly. So head over to Complete Racing Solutions and get your hydration drinks, the energy fuel. And I can tell you, the kids of his that used it at Loretta's last year in that heat, it was noticeable improvement. This is not some janky, let's just put some stuff in a drink. This is a scientific formula designed to increase and optimize your performance. Check out Ride Strapped, goggles, glasses, shirts, just a really cool company. And I'll tell you what, they're a goggle company, unlike X Brand or Lucid, that will not sue your local track. They believe in doing the right things for the right reasons. Head over to Ride Strapped and support a company that supports you guys.
You need people like me so you can point your fucking fingers and say, that's the bad guy.
So I know after that intro, a lot of you guys are already freaking out going, it was for safety. They had to cut the conditions because it was so hot. I agree. I absolutely believe that they should have done that. This is one of Coach Rob's pet peeves. He hates when athletes train for something and then it gets harder and then they adjust it to suit everybody instead of just rewarding the guys who work extra hard. And I kind of agree with that to a point, but I also don't want to see these guys going out there and they're going to give their all, and I do not want to see anything tragic happen. But what I have a problem with is cutting in between motos. If you're going to cut time off of this race, we knew all week it was going to be hot. There was no guesswork. This isn't like some storm rolled in and muddied up the track and you had to make changes on the fly. We knew all week it was going to be nasty, gnarly, and hot. And I don't have a problem with taking them to 25-minute motos because of the heat. What I have a problem with is doing it after the first moto. It changes the integrity of the sport. Guys who gave an extra effort or didn't have an extra effort, it changes strategy. If you had a bad start in Moto 1, you had plenty of time to get back up there. In Moto 2, it made it more difficult. And like I said, I don't have a problem. They should have done this. If you're going to cut laps, if you're going to cut time, do it in the morning. Let everybody know, okay, we're only working with 25-minute motos today, and you change your strategy accordingly. Could you imagine a baseball game? At 4 innings in, they go, hey guys, it's hot. We're only going to play 7 innings today. It changes the entire strategy. And this is the same situation we had yesterday. If Tomac had gotten that bad start in Moto 1, or knew he had 30 minutes, it changes the way he rides. Maybe he's not pushing hard enough to go down. And if it's only 25 minutes, maybe Jett doesn't mail it in on that first one and ride around for third. It changes everything about the day of racing, everything about the sport, and it messes with the integrity by making changes mid-race. Now, I understand if it starts raining and something happens or there's some weird Mother Nature disaster and you have to shorten it in between motos. This wasn't the situation. This is something that easily could have been done earlier in the day. Can you imagine an NBA playoff game? At halftime, they say, hey guys, you guys look tired. We're going to play 3 quarters today instead of 4. Really? That changes everything about the game. How about a football game if they said, same thing, halftime? You know what? We're only going to play 3 quarters. You get 1 more quarter. Well, if one team's down, they're going to be pissed because they need that extra time. It changes the strategy and the integrity of the sport. Well, that's why I have a problem doing it in between motos. Once you ran that first moto at 30 minutes, you've got to do that in the second moto. With the one exception being if you pull every single rider and every single rider says, yes, shorten it. If every single rider agrees 100%, then fine, go ahead and shorten it. But I don't think that was the case. I don't think Tomac wanted it shortened. And there were some other guys that didn't want it shortened either because they have the cardio. That's where they knew they could get a lot of guys in those last 5 minutes. Do you think Aaron Plessinger would have benefited from that first moto being 25 minutes? I sure do. I think he's sitting on a victory if that's the case. And if that's the case, Izzy is tired heading into the second moto. It ruins the strategy. Jett didn't know they were going to cut it to 25 minutes, but he was resting. He rode around in third, but it just worked out perfectly. Like I said, he has great racecraft. He is by far the fastest dude out there. And the only way to beat him is through endurance, strength, and strategy. And when the AMA starts messing with the strategy, oh boy, it makes it really difficult to beat a guy like Jett Lawrence. And it is absolutely illegal per the rules to have an IV on race day. If you want to change a rule, how about you just bring in a whole bunch of IV bags and allow everybody to get IV bags either after practice before the first moto or in between motos. You do that, that changes things also. So if you want to do something for the safety of the riders, let them use IV bags on these hot days. That's it. There's things you can do without hurting the integrity of the sport and also keeping the guys safe. Either let them use IV bags, shorten both motos, and you do it earlier in the day, but you can't do it in the middle. So Aaron Plessinger, man, he's out there looking like a comic book character, but he delivered. So he needed to be the number one guy. Sexton's out, and we don't even know if we'll see Sexton again. They're saying Redbud, but I'm doubtful that he shows up for Redbud, and I almost want him to just take the season off. Aaron Plessinger stepped it up, became the number one man. He wanted that win so bad. Rode the wheels off it. And the way he emptied the tank in that first moto, I honestly thought we were going to see a meltdown in the second one, but he still held on for third place, got through it. I'm sure he's hurting today and kind of delirious. Damn, the cowboy is... The sport's better when Aaron Plessinger's running up front and on the podium. Those outdoor fans love him in his redneck style with his jersey with ripped off sleeves on the podium. He's great. In that first moto, Eli Tomac proved he might not be the fastest guy, but he is the baddest dude out there, 100%. The way he just hammered down and pushed Plessinger all the way to the end and then broke him with like 2 laps to go. And I know Plessinger got confused, but I mean, it's heat exhaustion. He got a little confused, thought it was 2 laps shorter than it was. And then they went ahead and obliged him and did that in the second moto. So he did have less laps the second moto. But they literally took away Tomac's toughness advantage by shortening it to 25 minutes. And like I said, I don't mind doing that. I'm fine with that for safety reasons. But you got to do it before the first moto, you jackasses. So if he's got 30 minutes in that second moto with that bad start, he doesn't panic. He gets a rhythm, starts picking guys off, and I don't see him finishing any worse than third place. But he had to push to a level because he knew he didn't have as much time. And that last 5 minutes when those dudes are exhausted, that's where Tomac really eats them up. He didn't have that. They took it away from him. They literally took away, it's like taking a UFC fighter who's got this one move, like a spin kick, and saying, oh yeah, it's hot out. Nobody uses spin kicks today. And they take away the biggest weapon in this guy's arsenal. That's what they did to Tomac in that second moto. And I know it's dangerous, but everybody knows how hot it is, and you have to manage your energy level. That's actually a skill in itself. Jett did it in the first moto. Jett knew what he was doing. He was going to go ahead and just say, you know what? It's hot today. He said, I might not win today, but I won't take myself out of this championship. And that was impressive. Jett is next level, racing IQ, skill. He's hard to beat. But then when they're making rules to take away from Tomac's advantage, oh, it's really hard to beat. Tomac's 17 points down. Had that moto been 30 minutes, I think he would have got third place, and we're talking about a 9-point difference instead of 17. Even if he only gets up to 5th place, we're talking about a 13-point gap instead of 17. That's a big difference in a championship with 11 rounds. With that said, I don't want to take away from how great Jett rode. Jett was phenomenal. The fact that he can go out there at 80% and just cruise around and get a third place in the second moto, cruise around it, look like 80% and win, yeah, he's the best guy, and he's probably going to be your champion, especially if they shorten motos to give him an advantage, which he doesn't need any advantages. Probably still the guy. Like, I don't see Tomac beating him in this whole season, but that second moto was a momentum shift of epic proportions. You just saw Tomac finally beat him straight up, and then all that work he did, and then some, were lost in that second moto. But if you look at this big picture, like, Jett Lawrence has lost 1 race on a 450. 1! That is absolutely crazy that Jett Lawrence has, in his 450 career, he's lost 1 time, and it was this track last year. Every other time that he lined up, he won, which is why it made it so impressive that Tomac handled him in that first moto. And we all wanted to see it again. We wanted to see, did Jett conserve enough energy? Did Tomac go too far? But then with the start, and it really did rob us, the fans, of what we wanted to see. Justin Cooper looked pretty good out there. I expected a little bit more, but he was smart. He understood it's hot. I don't know how much I have in the tank. He rode smart and got himself on the podium. I had predicted before the race that if anyone was going to get up there and beat Jett and Eli, it would be Justin Cooper, actually Aaron Plessinger. With that said, going into Colorado, that is a track that Justin Cooper he loves that track. So if he's going to get it done in this year and get one of those moto wins or an overall win, his best bet, it's still unlikely, would be next week in Colorado. Precision Transport, the best shipping company ever. This is a family-owned business that really does believe in taking care of their business partners. If you have a company and you're tired of dealing with specific shipping companies, hit up pretransport.com. There's a lot of business options that they can really help you out. So hit up pretransport.com. Alias MX gear. This stuff's so high quality and it's sold out so fast this year. We're looking at 3 weeks from now, we're going to see the drop of the 2026 stuff. You're going to have to get it fast. So aliasmx.com, and the 2026 gear will be showing up soon, looking like about the 3rd week of June. And thank you to all the Cooksey Mob members. You guys are the best. You're all entered to win the new Power Sports XQi3 e-motorcycle. I guess I've been calling it an e-bike and people got mad. I just call it, it's an e-motocross bike. It has no pedals. This is very similar to the Sur-Ron. In fact, I'm going to do a head-to-head test with a Sur-Ron. I've just got to make some changes to the XQi3 to make it match the Sur-Ron so I can get a fair comparison. Changing the gearing, bar risers, pegs, you know, the little stuff. But you're all entered to win one. We'll be giving that away at the end of December. Jett's brother, let me guess, the bike needs some work. He wasn't happy with it. He didn't feel comfortable. Is that not kind of the MO on Hunter Lawrence? When he's good, he's feeling really good. And when it's bad, the bike's bad. He kind of whines a lot. But in this field, I don't see him being anything more than just Jett's wingman or protection on the track. And I do get annoyed how whenever Jett's behind him, if Jett's a little bit faster, Hunter pulls over and lets Jett cruise right by. He doesn't do that for anyone else. It really does change the competitive balance of the sport, having your own little wingman out there. And if I was one of these other guys who saw him letting Jett by, I think I might get pissed. I might be looking to clean out that front tire. But he is solid, and he is the perfect protection for Jett out there, getting in between, kind of creating gaps, blocking other guys, letting Jett go. It actually works perfectly. And if it were my brother, I would do the same thing. So I don't want to hate on it that much. But from a distance, I don't like seeing it. It's frustrating. And like I said, if I was one of these other guys, I'd probably be looking to take off that front end. How about Cooper Webb out there just living his best life? Does he look any more relaxed? I mean, he's just out there riding along. He doesn't care if he wins. He doesn't care if he gets 7th. He already won the championship that matters to him. So he's just out there collecting SMX points, saying hi to the fans, and just having like a summer vacation. But it's not like he's cruising around in 15th, clearly mailing it in. He's riding really good. He's beating Prado, Anderson, and some really good riders out there. Cooper Webb, like I said, he's having fun. I'm curious if he can ramp it up when they get to SMX, or is he just waiting for Supercross next year? RJ Hampshire looks absolutely phenomenal on that 450. I wish he would have got on one a little bit earlier in his career, but I don't think it's too late. I still think he's going to get on the podium, maybe even a moto win. RJ Hampshire is a savage. He has got to be the toughest SOB probably that I've ever seen in this sport or any other sport. And I was thinking of how to describe RJ Hampshire, and I thought of those old Chuck Norris comics, you know. RJ Hampshire doesn't do push-ups. He pushes the earth away. The boogeyman checks for RJ at night. RJ Hampshire doesn't wear a watch. He tells you what time it is. There is no evolution. RJ just decides what creatures he lets live. RJ Hampshire can do a wheelie on a unicycle. The laws of physics are optional around RJ Hampshire. I ripped those off straight from the Chuck Norris Tough. I don't know how else to describe who RJ Hampshire is other than using the Chuck Norris sayings about how tough he is. This dude is the living embodiment of that. He is just nails. Then you have the absolute disaster of an outdoor season for Team Kawasaki. The Jorge Prado experiment has been an utter disaster, from the Supercross crash to outdoors. And I was watching the Weed show, and Weed had said somebody at Kawasaki didn't run the paddle tire on Prado's bike because they didn't want him to get a start because they said he wasn't ready to run up front. Are you serious? This might be the stupidest idea I've ever heard. Whoever at Kawasaki told Weege that needs to be fired. They obviously don't have a clue about racing or risk. They're telling the reigning world champion, you're not ready to get a start. Are you out of your damn mind? Despite how dumb this is, it's actually a safety hazard. You're going to take this MXGP champion and then make him get a bad start. So he's mid-pack with all these maniacs It is dangerous to be back in the pack in the 450 class going through a first couple turns. You don't know what bike's going to go flipping where. It's crazy. So whoever made that call, you're dumb. You might be the dumbest person in that paddock. But I will say that first moto with Prado was an absolute disaster. He did get it together and kind of show signs of life in that second moto. He finally didn't get run down by Jason Anderson, who's just out there collecting his money and making sure Kawasaki pays him for the rest of his contract. I really think the only reason Anderson's out there is to get his money before he leaves the team and goes wherever he's going. But he sure is enjoying giving Prado hell and letting the team know, that's the guy you took over me. That's the guy you're paying a whole bunch of money to. That's why I can't come back. He's probably like, you could have had me and Sexton. Instead, you're keeping this guy? Oh boy, what are you doing? But he is reminding them week after week how dumb they are. And then hearing them talk about putting, the non-paddle because they don't want Prado to get a hole shot. Yeah, they have to be the dumbest team in the pits. So there's 2 more races before they get a week off. Who recovers? Because you have a hot, brutal race like this. A lot of times you see guys the next week really burn out, but Tomac has to make up points on Jett in the next couple rounds, because if they get to that break and it's like a 25-point lead, at that point, he's just racing for wins. The championship is really almost out of reach. Problem is I do believe Jett was vulnerable this weekend. He had that big emotional dump at Paula, got through all that stuff, and I think you saw that in the first moto. He was managing the heat, the stress, the leg. He had an emotional letdown, and he still won the race and made points on him. So it is going to be incredibly difficult to do that next week, and then after that in High Point. But if Tomac wants to be in this battle, he's going to have to do something. My big question in Colorado is, can AP match that performance? And will we see Jay Coop do a similar thing? But I will say this, AMA, don't shorten laps. Unless you're going to do it before the first moto, stay with the same format, you dumbasses. And we have our winner for the May Cooksey Mob giveaway. We gave away a 32-ounce bottle of Nano Xtreme. The winner is Mission Creek Pursuit. Make sure you shoot me an email with your information, and I'll get that 32-ouncer of Nano Xtreme headed your way. And then for June, Coach Rob is giving away a Energy Fuel bundle. He's giving a big bag of energy fuel, recovery fuel, a baseball hat, and a beanie to one lucky member. Thank you guys. I appreciate everything. Here's your member of the day.